Hey guys, so I want to make a quick tutorial, and this is tutorial number 2 on my Java series. And in this tutorial I'm going to be discussing the structure of a Java class. So, last tutorial we wrote this simple hello world Java class. But now I'm guessing that, many of you, when you wrote it, you didn't really realize what was going on and what many of these words meant, which is completely fine considering you're just starting out. So, first of all, let's just look at this line right here. Public class hello printer. So this first word, public, what does it mean? Well, public is a visibility modifier, and what that means is that it tells Java that this class, hello printer, is a public class, and that means that it can be accessible, that can be accessed by other classes in the same project. So in this package, hello printer, I'm going to have multiple, let's just say, for example, I had another class in this package, hello printer, and that class did something. And in that class, I wanted to use a method that I had written in here, in this class. Classes can have multiple methods, so let's just say in this hello printer class, I had written another method, public void another method, like that. And obviously I haven't taught you guys how to write methods, but this is just a brief thing. I'll show you in a later video as well. So let's just say I had written this another method, and I wanted to use this method right here in another class. Well, first of all, I would have to make this class public to even do that. Secondly, I would have to make this method public. And what that shows is that, okay, so I can use this class right here is public, so I can access it from a different class, and then from here I can access this public method. So that's what public does. And whenever you want to use, whenever you write a method that you know would probably be used somewhere else, or you want it to be used somewhere else, then make it public. Class is just self-explanatory. It just indicates that between these parentheses is going to be a class, right here and right here. Class is a data type, and there are lots of data types in Java. There's string, there's int, there's boolean. Here's an example right here, int a. Int is a data type. Class is just a data type. It indicates what hello printer is. It's a class. And a class is a collection of methods. See? Method. So a class is a collection of methods. And I'm going to be going over in more detail what a class does in a later video, but right now just understand that it's just basically a collection of methods. Hello printer is the name of this class right here. See, class hello printer. And when we first created this project, we called it hello printer. You probably gave it your own name, So whatever you named it, this is what the class named it. Now when you make a new class, like when you go up here, click on the white box instead, and you click Java class, and you go to next, and you name it. I'm going to call it another class. So, in this another class, you see here that whatever I gave the name, it's over here. I can't change it and give it my own name. And now why can't I do that? Because once I entered it, once I clicked on this white button, said make a new class, and then gave it a name, NetBeans created, and what Java does is that it creates a source file for this. And that source file, the name of that source file matches the name of this exactly, with the capital A, capital C over here, and it's called another class.class. And you don't have to worry about that at all when you're programming. It's just a good thing to remember is that you can't name a class anything you want to after the point where you name it already. So after this point, after you click, class, Java, new class, and then you name your class and you create another class, then you can't change it after that. NetBeans, however, actually does let you change it, but you have to do a refactor. You go over here, right click, and I'll show that in a later video. But right now, let's just make sure you know that you can't really change it. So let me discard another class right now. Don't need it. So there's public class and the name. Now look at this line, public static void main string args. A lot of stuff there. So I already told you, public means that you want to make the method, you want to make this method available to other classes. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be used in another class, but it's going to be available. Static, all it means is that in this method, there is not going to be an object that is manipulated. So what does that mean? So here we have an object. We have an integer and we called it a. So let's just say if I want to make, I'm going to manipulate that object now. I'm going to set a equal to 1. I can't do that because a non-static variable a cannot be referenced from a static context. This a cannot be manipulated while this method is called static. While this method is static. That's all that static means, is that an object will not be manipulated in there. So you might think, what's the point of that? Well, yeah, in a way you're right. Certain methods, however, they are specifically indicated. Just like the main, a main is always static. And it's just convention. And static indicates, meaning that no object will be manipulated here. And you don't want any object to be manipulated. You need to put static so that you have that stipulation. Generally, though, when you're programming, you will not have a static method. You'll just this will be gone. You'll have public void or public string, anything like that. So yeah. So static, just remember, just means that an object is not manipulated in the method. Void right now, don't worry about it, but all it really means is that this method right here isn't returning anything. You don't see a return statement here, so it's not returning anything, and I'll discuss return statements in a future video. Main just means that main is just the name of this method, but this main method is extremely important. This main method. Every Java program you make has to have a main method. It has to. And the Java program won't run without a main method. When the compiler runs and Java first starts, this is the first method it reads, regardless. It looks in main. And the reason it does this because it just does. This is the main, and this is where it will look first. But this is the reason why the main is a static method. Because if the Java program looks here first, then no objects would have been created before it. Yeah, you may see that, oh, well, I wrote into A here, he already created. Yeah, but it's not actually it's there, but it's not being used. It's not really being manipulated. So, in essence, it's not really existing. It's there, but it's not, yeah, it sounds weird, but it's not really being used. So anyway, yeah, the program looks here first in the main method, and you need to have a main method in any program you write. Sometimes instead of main, you may see something like public void init, but you don't usually see that. Sometimes you do though, and that also works too. But you need to this is used 99% of the time. This whole main method. String args is the last thing I want to talk about, and last thing on this line. And string args in this case is called a parameter. You see that it's between two parentheses, and it follows the name of the method. And all that indicates is that this parameter, when you have something in between here, it's called a parameter. And a parameter means that it's going to be used in the method somehow. Now, in main, you don't really see it being used actually, but you need to have that in there. You need to have string args, or you can actually call this whatever you wanted to. But, string args, so that parameter needs to be there, because it's just how Java works for main, for the main method. Now, if I made another method, like see in this another method, I could put any parameter I wanted to, int A or int B, just to not confuse you guys, and I can say, add 1 to B. So I have just added 1 to B, and so it's taking this B right here and then adding 1 to it. Okay, so that's how parameters work. You're saying you're taking a variable and you're doing something with it. And the cool thing about that is that, let's just say you can use that variable to do tons of stuff. So let's just say I have another variable here, okay, and I said like in C, and in C equals 1. I can set in C int c in the method and then add it. So now you have int c equals 1 and then added b plus c. Oh, I'm sorry, actually you can't just do that. You have to set it equal to something else. But yeah, so int d equals b plus c. So yeah, there you guys go. So that's how parameters work. The last thing I want to talk about is this system.out.print line right here. System.out is an object. Print is the method. Hello world is the parameter. What Java does is that it's looking in its Java API, which is the Java code for Java, what defines Java and the programming language Java. It's looking in this class called system. And in that, it's looking for a data type called, not a data type, sorry. It's looking for an object called out. And then it's using this print method on that out object. And it's passing the parameter hello world, which is a string. So it's very simple. Look in the, all it's saying is that this is an example of using a class in a different class, using a method of one class in a different class. Look in the system class. Look for the data type out inside, which is inside the system class, and then do print method on out. Now, not every Java command or not every calling of a method that you do in your program will look like this, but this is just one example. And the system class is actually extremely useful in Java programs, as we'll see in the future. And it's saying the out, actually the out object means that it means the console. Like when you hit print and then you see it print out on your output screen, that's the console. That's how it does it. It knows that because you've said out. And print is just simply a method that Java made, or that Java has, called print. And then it passes a parameter hello world. It takes this and it prints it out somewhere. Prints it out to the screen. So anyway, the last thing I want you guys to know is that whenever you call a method, the three things you need to indicate are the object, which in this case was system.out, the name of the method, which in this case was print, and a pair of parentheses containing a parameter, which is hello world. Now the parameter is generally optional. Like there doesn't need to be something in here inside any method. There doesn't have to be a parameter every single time. But if you indicate one, like over here I indicated that, oh, this method over here needs to have an integer, okay, of some sort. It doesn't have to be called b, but it needs to have some sort of integer. Then in that whenever I use this method, I have to put in some kind of integer as a parameter. In this case, the print method, sorry, has some kind of string parameter. Like like the actual print method in Java looks something like this. It's called sorry, let me just fix this. I'm gonna write it somewhere else. The print method would look something like public string print string user input, you know? So this is actually, obviously they wouldn't use the same method, but I'm just, because I have no other way to show you how it would print, you know? So it would say print user input. So this is something like of what the print method in Java would look like. Oh, sorry. You know? So what's going on here is that all I'm saying is that print, it has a parameter called string user input, and so it'll take this user input and print it out and return it. This one isn't important right now, don't worry about that, but it prints it out. Okay? So again, if I indicate that there is a parameter, then there needs to be a parameter every time I use this method. There has to be a string every time I pass as a parameter every time I use this method. If I don't put anything in here, then there cannot be anything in there. I can't just add a parameter for fun if I wanted to. There can be nothing in there. Alright? Anyway, thanks for watching. Please continue watching my series. I hope this helped, and comment and subscribe.